Steady up. The town of Hinton respectfully acknowledges that it is located on the First Peoples traditional lands. We recognize this traditional territory to show respect and understanding to those who walk this land since time immemorial. Today, we uphold our ongoing responsibility to work together in the spirit of the intent of the treaties with all the First Peoples and nations that call this place home. The town expresses gratitude for the opportunity to build a better community on these sacred lands for generations to come. With that, we will call this regular council meeting for April 16th, 2024 to order. First item on the agenda is adoption of the agenda. Council, any additions or deletions to the agenda this evening? Administration, any additions or deletions to the agenda this evening? CEO Panasic.
Through the chair to the rest of council, I would like to suggest 7.5 special council meeting.
Thank you, CEO Panasic. Councillor Hawes.
With that suggestion, I'd like to move that we add 7.5 to the action items, special meeting of council.
Thank you, Councillor Hawes. Council, the motion on the floor is that we add item 7.5 special council meeting to the action items on this evening's agenda. Any discussion? Seeing nothing, we'll call the question. Councillors, please vote now. And that motion is carried unanimously. Councillor Hawes.
With that, I'd like to move that we adopt the agenda for April 16th, 2024 as amended.
Thank you, Councillor Hawes. Council, the motion on the floor is that council adopt the agenda as amended. Any discussion? Seeing nothing, we'll call the question. Councillors, please vote now. And that motion is carried unanimously. Brings us to section 3 of the agenda this evening, council minutes for adoption. Councillor Race.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to move that we adopt the regular council meeting minutes for April 2nd, 2024 and Committee of the Whole meeting April 9th, 2024.
Thank you, Councillor Race. Council, the motion on the floor is that council adopts the minutes from the regular council meeting on April 2nd, 2024 and the Committee of the Whole meeting on April 9th, 2024. Any discussion? Seeing nothing, we'll call the question. Councillors, please vote now. And that motion is carried unanimously. Brings us to section 4 of the agenda today, Citizens Minute with Council. Minute with Council provides an opportunity where residents can address council regarding issues, events, celebrations, or concerns. To ensure a constructive and welcoming environment, please adhere to the following guidelines. Keep your remarks concise, limited to 1 minute. Address the chair of the meeting when speaking to council. Avoid asking questions as this is not a Q&A session, and maintain a respectful tone and language. Administration, do we have any citizens on the list for Minute with Council this evening?
Yes, we do. We have Mr. Wolf Kwasny.
Thank you. Mr. Kwasny.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, councillors. And I think mine will only last a minute today because I had to shorten it up.
I thank you for that, Mr. Kwasny.
Okay, it's regarding a letter that was in the Voice on February 8th regarding the bribery, dishonesty, baseless, and false by Councillor Haas. On March 23rd, I attended a gathering held at the Old Grind, which I viewed as a very nice gathering of Hinton people with different views, jokes, discussions, and smiles. After we left, I joined a gathering across from Pembina Avenue a while later, and Trevor Haas joined us and asked several questions were asked of him. One question was asked at the time was, what does the town have to do with the rural renewal stream? And the reply was nothing at all. So then the question was asked once again, what has the town, do they have anything to do with it? And Trevor replied, that is just the provincial government only. So then somebody come up with a question, they said, we see that the town is involved. Absolutely not, in no way at all. So shortly after this, I left. I shook Trevor's hand and I left. A while later, I wanted to get a clarification on this, so I tried to email Councillor Trevor Haas at hinton.ca. So what happened is my call was blocked. My email was blocked. So then I tried to call Trevor Haas at 780-740-1474. The call was blocked.
Point of order.
Council.
That's not the number. That's the wrong number you have. It's 780-740-1471. It's on the website. And as to an email, if it got blocked, it's our system that got blocked because it might come from TELUS and they get blocked because I never received any email from you or any citizen in regards to that conversation. If I can also mention, because it is directed at me, I didn't say the town had nothing to do with the rural renewal. I said that they are a go-between between the provincial government and the employers of the community. So we have some involvement, and I remember stating that clearly. But as for who's picked and all those, that's a provincial government program. So I want to clarify that some of these things, because things are being said that I've never received any correspondence from any member.
Thank you.
And that is the wrong number.
So
Thank you.
you never,
Thank you, Councillor Haas. And this is not supposed to be a two-way discussion, Mr. Kwasny, but for all citizens in the audience today, email being what it is with all of the spam filters, if you email a councillor, myself, a mayor, and it gets bounced back to you as a spam filter, the easiest solution for anybody is to come talk to the person at that front desk there, and we can help you get your emails through the filters. It just is what it is in our modern era. Please continue, Mr. Kwasny.
so I have to take, and I'll read through this, but I have to remove the part which I was gonna, being now that I've heard what he has to say, it changes what I have to say in here. So all I'm saying, so if I did any wrong for this kind of action, I would like an explanation for it. If that so happened, because I know that it was blocked, both the phone number and the, but if that's the wrong phone number, I'm sorry about that. So that concludes what I have to say, because it was basically on that rural renewal stream. Because I did do some research and did find out that the town has got quite the involvement in it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kwasny.
Thank you
And
for
feel
your-
free, email me with your questions directly. We know your emails get through to my address, and I'll make sure that the correct person at the municipality gets back to you on the questions about the rural renewal stream.
I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kwasny. Administration, who's next on the list for a minute with council?
Ms. Kate Cardinal.
Thank you. Ms. Cardinal?
Thank you.
Just need a moment to get my spectacles on. Like your new haircut is very nice, shiny.
Thank you, ma'am.
There's my offering of tobacco. Santa, hi. Hello and thank you. I offer our sacred tobacco and a prayer for our whole community.
Hi, Creator, for your love and guidance from our hearts to honor and respect our beautiful gifts of Mother Earth and all of creation for generations to come. Hi. Hi for honoring our unceded territory. I'm Kate Cardinal, a caretaker of Mother Earth, a keeper of the water and herbs. This sacred tobacco was smoked at the signing of our treaties long ago. These are in danger, as is Mother Earth, a sacred gift to us all from our Creator. I bring good news to you all. The full documentary, Kiss the Ground, with Spanish subtitles, shows us all how we can turn desert into bountiful, healthy, growing environments which support all life. The video by Paul Stamets, 6 Ways Mushrooms Can Save the Earth, shows you how mushrooms and mycelium have been, oh, hang on, I lost my spot here. 6 Ways Mushrooms Can Save the Earth shows how mushrooms and mycelium have been saving bees since 2012 and can purify the most toxic soils and water. Mother Earth has been asking us all to listen and to honor whole systems for the sake of future generations. Please share those videos. Hi. The following statements have been shared to me by many citizens, which is the reason for our following requests. Nope. I think I'm missing a page here. Oh, sorry, I missed a page. I'll start again there. The People's Voice of Hinton asked this council for your cooperation in these requests to reverse or reduce many issues our community is facing. Number 1, we ask you to create an online public forum where citizens may ask answers to questions which are answered transparently within 24 to 48 hours. We also ask you to provide a copy of all bylaws and changes to acts, statutes, and regulations which affect all citizens in binders at both our public library and in this town lobby. We ask that you remove the Rural Renewal Stream program and work with your community on alternative energy and housing initiatives to generate housing and employment, as well as support the Billion Trees projects worldwide. We ask that you reverse all bylaws or zoning which adversely affect citizens in this community, including Bylaw 1088, which removes citizens' rights, and all those in connection with our golf course and the Par 99 development. Hey. You are common people like the rest of your citizens. The only separation is within one's own ego. I ask you to listen with your hearts for your families, your children, and all future generations. This community and our great country are founded by taxpayers and the mass sale of our resources. So the voice of taxpayers is essential. The following statements have been shared to me directly by many citizens, which is the reason for our requests. Many citizens have been relieved of their former jobs under the Rural Renewal Stream program, and many cannot find a job. One business reports 6 to 15 applicants daily, mostly newcomers from Ontario. Taxes and the increased cost of living here have made housing, food, fuel, and healthcare a luxury to many. Your first objective as council is to the safety, security, and protection of taxpayers, your citizens. Economic development must not override our safety and welfare. Many citizens have approached council members individually and privately with issues. Some have not received answers to questions for a year. Some have been locked out of emails. Some have found it necessary to hire legal counsel to protect their rights as citizens. This council has received reports of the fraudulent activity connected with immigration, and the alleged incidents of human trafficking have also been reported to the Edmonton Journal and the RCMP. We have not seen a business license revoked or a criminal charge yet. The community college proposed under Part 99 has had its license in BC revoked for submission of fraudulent documents, and more contractors and individuals have come forward stating they have not been paid for their services to Par 99 stakeholders. And on March 23rd of 24, Councillor Trevor Haas did tell 10 citizens and an RCMP officer that the town of Hinton has nothing to do with the Rural Renewal Stream program. He stated it was strictly between the provincial government and the employer. However, the provincial government Rural Renewal Stream program does state that the town must apply to deliver the program first, and signatures are required from council and mayor for all applications. Councillor Haas also stated that there is no agreement of sale with Par 99. However, the document titled Par 99 Hinton Golf Course Outline Plan states the agreement of sale was signed on March 17th, 22, along with a copy of the caveat placed on the entire golf course. Canada has welcomed plus or minus 5 million newcomers since 2022. The numbers are going to be a little off for a while. We won't know exactly where we're at. Recently, Canada decided to curb the mass number of applications, stating the immigration process is out of control. There's a lot more, but I have limited time today. Hi for your cooperation with our requests for our safety and our future. Hi.
Thank you, Ms. Cardinal. Secretary, who's next on the list?
Nobody else has registered for today.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone in the audience today who wishes to speak for a minute with council? Mr. Buttrey. Please have a seat, state your name for the record, and make your comments.
Hi, my name is Dave Buttrey. I'm a resident here just about 3 years now, and just to let you folks know that there's myself and a lot of others that I've met in this community that are really concerned with fire smarting and the lack thereof that Hinton is putting on. We're seeing other communities like Jasper and Edson just going crazy with it. We're not seeing any action here. Yes, the fire hall has put on a little community thing, and the citizens or some of us are doing as much as we can to our own homes, but it's our surrounding areas, it's the bush, it's the tall yellow grass, it's right up to our roads, it's right around us right now, the lack thereof. Last summer we all saw how the Piers area there, I was firsthand there. It races down those ditches with the tall yellow grass. There isn't almost anything any human can do it. It's doing 30, 40 kilometers an hour. It slows down the bush a little bit actually, but it's the tall yellow grass. We got to do more to mow it down, control it. And the citizens here would love to see more action by council and getting the town involved, get some equipment out, manpower, the grants. We got to use some of that money, I guess. We got grants. So yeah, just folks consider it. We all know it's going to be a rough year, and we're in the top 3 of this province for burning this year. So you don't want to see us be in another Slave Lake or Fort Mac. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Buttrey. Is there anyone else in the audience today that would like to speak for a minute with council? Secretary, is there anyone online that would like to speak with Minute with Council today?
No, there's no one online.
Thank you. That will take us to section 5 of our agenda this evening, delegations and presentations. And first up, we have item 5.1, RCMP District Officer Certificate of Appreciation presented by Staff Sergeant Chris Murphy.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Council. Thank you, Administration, for your time here today. I wanted to take just a few minutes to share with everybody the efforts that were put forth over an extended period of time with the understanding, with the ultimate goal of community safety. So all of us that are involved in emergency response, emergency responders, fire, EMS, police, we all work together on a regular basis, depending on what calls for service we're going to. It is very evident this day and age that continual training, continual exercises are paramount in order for us to ensure that we are offering the best services possible to those residents that live in the area. So I'm very proud to say, beginning late 2022 and through the early months of 2023, numerous individuals came together to form a committee to plan a training exercise here in Hinton, Alberta on August 29th, 2023. There was numerous agencies and departments involved, upwards of 20 that were involved. There were certain key players that came and that were involved right from the very beginning, participated in the training exercise, and also carried on in our meetings afterwards as part of a committee to complete an after action report and suggest recommendations for improvement. So as mentioned, there was numerous agencies, one being the fire department. The fire chief also wears multiple hats, including director of emergency management. So he was a very crucial and critical part of this component right from day one. Many of us in these agencies are very busy with many demands. He took the time to be involved. He bought into it, and his knowledge as a fire chief with his experience was instrumental into the success for the planning committee, was instrumental for the success of the training day, and also the recommendations that came afterwards. I can tell you, without those key players coming together and investing many, many hours that went into this, it wouldn't have been a success. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time or your time. I do suspect that you have a basic understanding, but on August 29th, we did conduct the exercise, which was a mass casualty active shooter in a school setting. It's a situation that nobody wants to go to in their career. We hope to not have to go through that. But again, failing to practice, failing to train is negligent. So we did come together with numerous agencies and participated in that. And there was nearly 150 different participants during the course of that day. And again, the fire department, the peace officers, the town played an important role in that training exercise. I wanted to take just a few seconds in front of an audience here today to just pass along my thanks on behalf of the RCMP to the fire chief. Mac, if you can come on up. Shiloh, if you don't mind, we also have the detachment commander here of Hinton. She's been recognized previously in another setting for her outstanding work on this. Reese, in appreciation for your outstanding contribution to the planning committee for the mass casualty active shooter training exercise held in Hinton, Alberta on August 29th, 2023. Your dedication, commitment to learning, and involvement with this training exercise had a significant impact on its success. This is signed by the Chief Superintendent of the Western Alberta District, Chief Superintendent Alberta McHale, and on behalf of myself, on behalf of Shiloh and the RCMP, I just really want to thank you for your time, expertise, and knowledge. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mayor, Council, Administration for having this opportunity.
Thank you, Sergeant Murphy, and way to make us proud, Chief. That will bring us to item 5.2 on our agenda this evening, the Hinton Youth Advisory Committee presentation by HYAC.
Hi, my name is Adeline.
My name is Hero.
And we're from HYAC to do our 2024 presentation. So we have 8 council members. They are Councillor Emily,
Councillor Jada,
myself,
Councillor Hayden,
Councillor Finn,
myself,
and Councillor Sterling,
and Councillor Maddie.
Our project plan this year is going to be working with protective services and strategic services. This involves applying for a Fire Smart grant to fund a Hinton Fire Smart barbecue, creating a wildfire evacuation checklist for youth, and working with climate risk assessment, and creating a survey for youth in Hinton to gauge their understanding of climate risk and how it impacts our environment.
Our guest speakers we've had so far throughout the year are Mayor Nixon, from Strategic Services, Henry Penn, Winston Rouse, I hope I'm saying it right, Webby Debbie Weber, Jordan Panasuk, DCAO, Fire Chief Mac DeBoudra.
We have multiple debates and meeting procedures. Some of the debates we participate in as a council include our swag debate, project debate, our subcommittees, fire truck naming, Robert's rules, and we have some fun debates.
The volunteer work we've done so far is at the family dance, the Christmas parade, the swim meet, and the BBOC.
We couldn't do our meetings without our administration. This includes Councillor Joanne Race,
Councillor Albert Ostashek,
Amanda Yaworski,
James Everett,
Margaret Schultz.
Tori Gunia. We would like to thank them all for helping us create this council.
These are our online channels if anybody has any more questions or anything else.
And this was our year so far in pictures. Thank you.
Any questions?
Council, any questions for the Youth Advisory Council? Councillor Haas.
Thank you for the presentation. Not really a question. I just want to thank the thought that went into the project planning, and to partner up with a community agency and the Fire Smart. I'm glad taking an initiative on that. So I think we can take a lot from that. Plus also that climate risk assessment, because you guys are going to be a big part of that. So I really appreciate the thought that went into the projects that are upcoming. So thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Taylor.
I enjoyed the one meeting that I attended. I have a question. Hayden, how did you make out on that letter to Mondi?
I put the first draft.
Okay,
I said the other day, and we'll discuss it further at our meeting.
excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Councillor Chambers.
I thank you through the mayor to the presenters. That was a very good presentation you guys did. One of the things that really stuck out to me is creating a wildfire evacuation checklist for youth. And with the amount of involvement in wildfire evacuations I had, seen all the different things that different age groups, whether it's seniors, whether it's, youth, people with young children, what that looks like, I think it's really important. I'm sure there'd be a lot of power banks and chargers and electronic devices on the list. But I think that's a wonderful thing to do, because I think it starts to create some of those conversations and some of those thought processes that we all individually need to be accountable for, regardless of what our age is, and not just rely on mom to look after all those things. So I think it's wonderful, and I'm really excited to see that. So keep up the good work, and it's nice to see everybody here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chambers. Councillor Race.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say how proud I am of each and every one of you who sit on this council. What you're learning during your term is going to take you very, very far in life. It truly will. You're going to leave and be able to run a meeting. You're going to be teachers. So I'm extremely proud of all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Race. And I will echo my councillor's statements. Fantastic presentation. Great work to everyone on the Hinton Youth Advisory Council. And I genuinely enjoy coming to your meetings. Have a good day. Thank you for presenting today. Okay, that will take us to section 6 of our agenda this evening. And we, for those of you in the audience, need to go into a brief closed session, but we will be back for all of the action items after a short closed session here. Councillor Haas.
I'd like to move that we go into closed session.
Thank you, Councillor Haas. Council, the motion on the floor is a council move into closed session. Any discussion? Councillors, please vote now. And that motion is carried unanimously. We are in closed session at 4:29.
Wilf, before you go, did you say there was a letter in the paper by me?
Oh, it was Cardinal. Cardinal said that.
Yeah, I never wrote a letter to the boys.
Yeah, but it was by the voice. What you said.
They might have quoted you. They might have even misquoted you.
They did. Well, and I didn't even talk to the boys.
Those were taken right out of it.
But I didn't
Get
get
the
the
bounces
boys.
on the emails. Just email me. Just email me.
A phone, yeah.
Or phone, yeah, but the emails, some of them are bouncing because robots, they look like spam, right? And robots are used to writing. Robot, I don't know. It's getting. Thank you, and that brings us back to move out of closed. Okay, we're gonna vote on move out of closed, everybody. Nope. Maybe we're not gonna do it. It was unanimous there. Okay, that brings us to section 7 of our agenda this evening, and item 7.1, appointment to Hinton Grant Funding Advisory Committee. CAO Panasic is just counting the votes. And then for this one, since there's a bunch of names, maybe secretary can pre-populate the motion for us. That'd be wonderful.
Through the mayor to members of council, we're recommending that we appoint Lila Moselle, Trevor Boutier, Hirel Tangri, Nora Allen, and Jace Rush to the Hinton Grant Funding Advisory Committee for a 1-year term.
Thank you, CAO Panasic. Counselors. Anybody? There we go. Counselor Chambers.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to make the motion that council appoint Lila Mosel, Trevor Boutillier, Hirel Tangri, Nora Allen, and Jace Rush to the Hinton Grant Funding Advisory Committee for a 1-year term.
Thank you, Counselor Chambers. So council, the motion on the floor is that council appoint Lila Mosel, Trevor Boudelier, Hirel Tangri, Nora Allen, and Jace Rush to the Hinton Grant Funding Advisory Committee for a 1-year term. Any discussion? Seeing nothing, we'll call the question. Counselors, please vote now. And that motion is carried unanimously. Counselors, anything further for item 7.1 on the agenda this evening? Seeing nothing, we'll move to item 7.2, economic development tactics, CAO Panasic.
Thank you, Mayor, to the rest of council. Bringing this report back to follow up from the April 9th, 2024 meeting where a committee had made the motion to remove section or tactics 171, 172, 173, and 161. All 4 of those tactics is in relation to following through with a number of different initiatives that are outlined through the Economic Development Strategic Plan. We did have a discussion at a committee of the whole that looked at everything and all of our responsibilities as an organization when it comes to economic development. We do have a very aggressive economic development plan for over the next 18 months that is outlined through our strategic plan as well as the tactical plans located on page 26 and 27. So at that point in time, council had recommended that we move those particular tactics off the books until for this current term. If we do decide that any particular initiative or action item that we do want to pick up later on, we can always make that motion then. But if our recommendation is that we do move away from these as administration, unless we do want to go forward with a much more fulsome program when it comes to economic development. Our approach really has been taking on the really difficult, high-level issues of the community, ones that aren't necessarily low-hanging fruit and can be done quickly. But they're ones that I think are most impactful and they're strategic in nature that move the municipality forward. So that's been our focus through the strategic and tactical plan. We think we're on a good trajectory. The remaining tactics, while important, it may just be a question of capacity and the ability to do those things within the short period of time. But we do have an aggressive plan and we are looking for further direction from council on how to approach these items.
Thank you, CEO Panasic. Councillor Taylor.
I'd like to make the recommended action that council direct administration to remove technical plan goal 1.7. The town is committed to the update and implementation of the town's economic development and tourism strategic plan and associated tactics 171, 172, 173, and to remove tactic 161. And all I want to say is we do have an approach to economic development that has 30 to 36 action items in it. So we are doing something, and we're a resource town anyways. There's a limited amount that a town can do who's a resource town. Most of your economic development is going to be external, as we've just seen. Significant stuff anyways. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Council, the motion on the floor is that council direct administration to remove tactical plan goal 17. Quote, the town is committed to the update and implementation of the town's economic development and tourism strategic plan, end quote, and associated tactics 171, 172, and 173, and to remove tactic 161. Councillors, any discussion? Seeing nothing, we'll call the question. Councillors, please vote now. And that motion is carried unanimously. Council, anything further for item 7.2 on the agenda this evening? Seeing nothing, we'll move to item 7.3, 2024 amended operating budget. CEO Panasic.
Thank you, Mayor. I will turn this over to Ms. Bourbeau.
Thank you. Good evening, Council. Administration is before you this evening requesting approval of the amended 2024 operating budget. The operating budget as presented reflects balanced revenues and expenses totaling $30,874,529. This budget is supported through municipal taxation of $13,934,074 and has allocation to reserve funds of $3,194,647. The increase in reserve allocations in 2024 from prior years facilitates ensuring the town has the necessary funds in place to pay the liability owing to the federal government for its share of the RCMP wage and benefits increases that were billed to municipalities at the end of 2022. Hinton did take advantage of the offer to postpone and delay paying that until Q1 of 2025 to allow us time to facilitate generating the funds throughout budget without having to draw directly on reserves or take out borrowings for it. The adjustments to the budget passed by council on December 7th, 2022 include increases to grant revenues and direction from council to proceed with 2 additional initiatives to be funded from reserves. The offsetting expense categories to facilitate the increased revenues will include purchases for supplies, wages, benefits, and contracted services. With the adoption of the amended budget this evening, the town of Hinton will be legislatively compliant, and that requires that we have an operating budget in place before we pass the rates of taxation bylaw. And with that, I'm available for any question or comments.
Thank you, Ms. Bourbeau. Council. Councillor Chambers.
I'd like to make the recommended action that council approve the 2024 amended operating budget as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Chambers. Would you like to speak to it?
No, I think that we reviewed this in good detail at the previous committee meeting, and I think it lines up with what we had discussed there.
Thank you, Councillor Chambers. Council, the motion on the floor is that council approve the 2024 amended operating budget as presented. Any further discussion? Councillor Taylor.
Thanks. I think 2 points are worth making. Point one is, from actual year end of 2023. In terms of an increase to net municipal taxes, this represents a 2.8% increase in net municipal taxes from the actual last year to what's budgeted this year, which is good in relation to surrounding communities. That being said, we can expect that to kind of change when it comes to the next year because of the water treatment plant and what's going to have to happen with our utility rates. The other item I think that's worthy to make a mention is I'm not going to make any motions regarding the water treatment plant reserve for reasons that you said. But I think it's a good idea for us to start looking for opportunities to start building up that reserve so that the burden on the ratepayers with utility rates is going to be as small as we can make it, because that's going to be a significant burden. And any opportunities we see for savings or surpluses or whatever, we should be looking to, I think, try to put those into a water treatment plant in the future. Clean drinking water is a pretty high priority. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Council, any further discussion? So council, the motion on the floor is the council approve the 2024 amended operating budget as presented. We'll call the question. Councillors, please vote now. And that motion is carried unanimously. Council, anything further for item 7.3 on the agenda this evening? Seeing nothing, we'll move to item 7.4, Supplementary Assessment Bylaw, CAO Panasic.
Thank you, Mayor. I will turn this over to Ms. Borbeau as well.
Thank you. We're before council this evening requesting 3 readings for Supplementary Assessment Bylaw number 1187. This bylaw provides municipalities an opportunity to capture significant adjustments in assessed value that have occurred within the year of taxation that was prompted by a substantial change from when data was last collected. So in the assessment world, our assessment data is based on 2 significant dates, would be market value of a property the preceding July 1st and physical condition of the property at December 31st of that prior year. So in the event that there was potentially a new home under construction in 2023 when the assessment data was collected, but in 2024 it became substantially completed and was able to become occupied. A supplementary assessment bylaw allows us the opportunity to go in and do an assessment on it for the period that the home was occupied. It is prorated from the date of the significant change to the end of December 2020. Sorry, the end of the year of that taxation year. Other would be a new mobile or manufactured home being moved onto a lot throughout the year. It allows us to go in and look at that. Or perhaps a business that was in the process of being built became operational during the taxation year. So with that, I'm here for any questions that council may have.
Thank you, Ms. Borbeau. Council? Councillor Race.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to move that council give first reading to the 2024 Supplementary Assessment Bylaw number 1187. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councillor Race. Council, the motion on the floor is the council gives first reading to 2024 Supplementary Assessment Bylaw number 1187. Any discussion? Seeing nothing, we'll call the question. Councillors, please vote now. And that motion is carried unanimously. Councillor Hawes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move that council give second reading to 2024 Supplementary Assessment Bylaw number 1187.
Thank you, Councillor Hawes. Council, the motion on the floor is that council gives second reading to 2024 Supplementary Assessment Bylaw number 1187. Any discussion? Seeing nothing, we'll call the question. Councillors, please vote now. And that motion is carried unanimously. Councillor Race.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move that council give unanimous consent to move to third reading of the 2024 Supplementary Assessment Bylaw number 1187. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councillor Race. Council, the motion on the floor is that council gives unanimous consent to move to third reading of 2024 Supplementary Assessment Bylaw number 1187. Any discussion? Seeing nothing, we'll call the question. Councillors, please vote now. And that motion is carried unanimously. Councillor Taylor.
I'll make the final motion that council give third reading to 2024 Supplementary Assessment Bylaw number 1187.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Council, the motion on the floor is that council gives third reading to 2024 Supplementary Assessment Bylaw number 1187. Any discussion? Seeing nothing, we'll call the question. Councillors, please vote now. And that motion is carried unanimously. Great work on the housekeeping, everybody. Council, is there anything further for item 7.4 on the agenda this evening? Councillor Chambers.
Just one quick question through the mayor to administration. Does this also apply to properties that may no longer be able to be lived in, or substantial changes to if a property goes down in value, or is this just specifically for an increased in valued property?
Ms. Bourbeau.
Through the mayor to all of council. This is to capture significant events, changes in increased in assessed values. Properties such as you're talking about, those would have to come back to council as a one-off for a discussion on the removal of those from the tax roll.
Thank you, Ms. Bourbeau. Anything further? Thank you, Councillor Chambers. Council, anything further for item 7.4 on the agenda this evening? Oh, CAO Panasic.
Through the mayor, if I could just add to that, part of what we do is if there are any major changes where things go down in value, and I there was an apartment building recently that it was undergoing major renovations. We did call our assessor to reassess that building because it's not being occupied. So we can do those things on a more reactive basis, and people are usually much more willing to tell us when their property goes down in assessment versus the other way around. So we are able to make those slight adjustments for when there are changes that would lower that assessment. In the face of fairness, we try to do that and make sure that those assessments are fair for everybody.
Thank you, CAO Panasic. Councillor Taylor.
Well, if an increase required at a bylaw, what authority would you do a decrease under?
CAO Panasic.
Through the mayor to members of council. So typically it's that's well within the assessor's authority for coming in under our discretion. I don't think we've ever had any issues with having our assessors make that determination. Can happen for previous years, but for in that year prior to the assessments going out, we can adjust those assessments. So after the assessments and the tax bills have gone out, there is an appeal process that they can go through, but prior to that, we as a municipality can request that they make adjustments to or take a look and make the necessary adjustments for anyone before the assessment notices and before the tax bills are sent out.
Okay.
Thank you, CAO Panasic. Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Council, anything further for item 7.4 on the agenda this evening? Seeing nothing, we'll move on to item 7.5, special council meeting. CAO Panasic.
Thank you, Mayor. Two members of council. So the original plan is that we would have our audited financial statements here today. And that would be ready to go. Unfortunately, we were not able to get that into the package for today. So we are recommending that we approve a special meeting to immediately follow the April 23rd Committee of the Whole for the purposes of passing our audited financials before the May 1 deadline. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer. But One other thing I should add is the plan right now is for the auditor to come in and present during committee of the whole. He can present the audited financials. We can discuss it with him. And then after that meeting, council would council can consider and hopefully pass those audited financials.
Thank you, CEO Open Asset. Councillor Haas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will move that council schedule a special meeting for April 23rd, 2024, following the committee of the whole meeting.
Thank you, Councillor Haas. Would you like to speak to it?
Quickly, yeah, I mean, if the financials are ready, we need to hear them quick as possible. So that just makes sense. And I appreciate the fact that, you know, we'll be hearing from them at the committee of the whole, followed by a special meeting then for decision. So excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. And so council, the motion on the floor is the council schedule a special council meeting for April 23rd, 2024, following the committee of the whole meeting for the purpose of passing the audited financial statements. And Councillor Haas, can you confirm that is the motion you mean to put on the floor?
Yes, that is the motion I need to put on the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Haas. Councillor Taylor.
Is this going to be the kind of timing we get for financial statements in the future? Or the third of the year's gone by? We get the financial statements. What's our goal for the future? Having them ready.
CEO Panasic.
Through the mayor to members of council, all of the audited financials will come roughly this time. This is a little bit later in the year than we typically want. You know, but hopefully this will be a much smoother process. We do have a new auditor. You know, that is part of it. The other part is the transfer of the landfill authority has held things up for 2 years in a row while we were in the purposes or in the middle of transferring that asset. So that slowed things down a little bit, but we are comfortable. We hope to bring it forward likely earlier in the month versus the latter part of the month, but
Yeah, I only mention it because the CD Howe Institute grades financial performance of communities and they don't give out full marks for delivering financial statements a third of the way through the year. But thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Thank you, CEO Panasic. Council, any further discussion? So council, the motion on the floor is the council schedule a special council meeting for April 23rd, 2024, following committee of the whole meeting for the purpose of passing the 2023 audited financial statements. Councillors, please vote now. And that motion is carried unanimously. Council, anything further for item 7.5 on the agenda this evening? Seeing nothing, we'll move to section 8, correspondence. And council. Councillor Taylor.
I'd like to ask a question regarding the Jason Nixon, Minister of Seniors, Community and Social Services. If I could.
Please go ahead.
There are some excellent ideas in this letter and for follow-up with the provincial government for support on winter emergency shelter funding and helping individuals transition into stable housing. What's our current status with these programs and what kind of future plans do we have to work with these kind of programs in our town? I'm thinking about us getting ready for next winter.
CEO Panasic.
Through the mayor to members of council. So when it comes to the emergency warming shelter, that has been solved. HELP has found a new permanent, or I won't say permanent, but a new home when it comes to emergency warming shelters. So we do plan on continuing to work throughout the summer with HELP to see if there is anything to make sure that we're going to have a stable and predictable program for next winter and that we won't be caught off guard again with a last minute request for emergency warming shelter support. So we will have something coming forward to council probably in the latter part of the summer. Based a lot of the work that we could look at based on this letter. But that work will be in conjunction with the HELP Foundation.
Thank you, CO Panasic. Councillor Taylor, follow up?
Yeah, well, what about homeless individuals transitioning into stable housing? How do we stand on that one?
CAO Panasic.
Through the mayor to members of council, we really haven't gone down the road as a municipality when it comes to programming or transitioning homeless into stable housing. Is not really part of our mandate. Now that might be a mandate of other, housing authorities, Help Foundation. I'm not sure how far those organizations have gone down. It's not anything that we've undertaken as a municipality to date.
Thanks.
Anything further, Councillor Taylor?
Nope.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Thank you, CO Panasic. Councillor Haas.
Thank you. I'd like to move that we accept. What is the wording here? Accepts the correspondence for information.
Thank you, Councillor Haas. Council, the motion on the floor is that council accept the correspondence package for information. Councillor Race.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to refer to the letter from Minister Loewen to administration. Where are we at with our fire smarting south of town? I know we did have a discussion, of the importance of fire smarting in that area.
CO Panasic.
Through the mayor, I will turn this over to Mr. DeBodra, but just for clarity, are you referencing the highway bypass location? I'll pass this over to Mr. DeBodra.
So the council had sent a letter to the Minister of Transportation to request clearing of the land on the highway bypass. That letter has since been transferred to the Ministry of Forest and Parks. I believe that's their name they're called these days. And we have not heard back yet from what their action plan will be there. So I follow up on occasion, not every day, but every few days to find out the status of that report back to us, but we have yet to hear anything.
Sorry, so you're saying you have not heard back from them yet?
That is correct. Sorry,
Okay.
I'll speak up.
Okay, thanks. And I have another question.
Go ahead, Councillor Race.
I'm noticing that other municipalities are putting a call out for volunteers in the event that their municipality is impacted by an emergency. Is that something that we're looking to do?
Through the chair to all of council. That call out for volunteers is actually for equipment operators and people that could have equipment. It's not for volunteer firefighters. We have augmented our volunteer department. We have undertaken wildland urban interface team member training and task force leadership training. Most recently, this past weekend in Jasper, we attended the member training and had 11 of our members certified in wildland urban interface firefighting. So pretty much all but maybe half a dozen of our firefighters are trained and ready to go for this season. So we haven't been sitting idle, and we just this past week we had an open, I wouldn't call it an open house. It was a forum for Fire Smart in the community to get the community members engaged in fire smarting their own properties to prevent the spread of wildfires into our community through their own property. And that is the very basic step in the Fire Smart program is Fire Smart starts at home, and it's to get our residents engaged and active. We've got people have signed up to become Fire Smart ambassadors for their neighborhoods so they'll spread the word. So we're very active in our Fire Smart initiatives. Unfortunately, we were declined a grant this year from FRIA for Fire Smart activities, but we will resubmit a fire grant application in the next intake to do a 5-year plan for Fire Smart activities in the town of Hinton.
So with us sitting where we're sitting, as far as the potential of us having a fire, what's the criteria for them saying no to that grant?
Through the chair, that grant was oversubscribed. There's if you can imagine, every community in Alberta is applying to that grant, especially those communities along the east slopes of the mountains. where there is the highest risk, and in northern Alberta, which is currently at the highest risk.
I do have another one.
Go ahead,
I'll be
Councillor
quick.
Race.
So when I speak of volunteers, I'm saying, should we have an influx of people come to our community again? Are we going to utilize citizens within our community who want to volunteer and help in the event of an emergency?
CEO Panasic.
Through the mayor to members of council, actually, one of a very unique position that we've just approved through our emergency coordination center structure is what we're calling a community liaison. So that person will be dedicated to working directly with the community to solicit whatever that emergency might throw at us. If there is something that we need from the community, having that position specifically to work with the community, we have approved that. That's a very unique position that I have never seen in an ECC, but something that we can work directly with. So some work will be done on that proactively to start getting these lists together. We do have a very good start on that already, on lots of good information of what's out there in the community, who has what. Some further work will need to be done through that position, but that's a really unique thing that we've done this year and that was in response to our follow-up action items that we've identified from last summer. Is, the community is great. They're all there to help, but unless we have a structure in place that can manage the community, it can become a detriment very quickly. So, we want to have structures in place that we can work with them and make sure that it's effective and it's helping. And so we have done that, and there will be some communications out at some point on that initiative.
I just got one more.
Go ahead, Councillor Race.
Okay, so in regards to Minister Nixon's letter, I did reach out to the Alberta government here in town, and Carmen was very, very good, giving me all the information that I was requesting, and I promised her a whole bunch of administration phone numbers and names, and she's really looking forward to interacting with our admin. So thank you very much. That's it.
Thank you, Councillor Race. So council, the motion on the floor is the council accepts the correspondence for information. Any further discussion? Councillor Taylor.
I ask a follow-up question on the Fire Smart. So we applied for free and we didn't get it, but does the provincial government not have Fire Smart programs too that we can apply to?
Chief DeBoer up.
Through the chair to all of council. Yes, they do. Most of them are funded through FRIA. And we have applied for several other Fire Smart grants from Fire Smart Canada and Alberta Fire Smart. And they're providing support for our community programs, our community education programs right now.
Okay.
It's not a large funding amount, but they are providing support.
Right. Thanks.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Anything further?
Oh, sorry.
Seeing nothing, we'll call the question. The council accepts correspondence for information. Councillors, please vote now. That motion is carried unanimously. Takes us to section 9 of the agenda. Administration, are there any notices of motion this week? CEO Panasic?
Through the mayor, no, they're not.
Thank you. That'll take us to section 10 of the agenda this evening, information items, and 10.1, 2024 Reserve Forecast. CEO Panasic.
Thank you, Mayor. I will allow Ms. Borbeau to speak to this one.
Thank you. At the previous committee of the whole meeting, there was some questions surrounding the increase in the reserve amounts from 2023 to the approved budget in 2024. The same report that was received by committee at the prior meeting has been included in this as an information item, and just within red is a short reconciliation that shows where the differences are, and they did lie with increasing and funding through taxation, the $305,000 required for the balance of the RCMP invoice. We did do an increase for some roads and sidewalks through to that reserve. And then there was the movement of the money from the changes to the library funding. So that followed through, and it brought us to the values that were shown on the October 24-25 draft budget that was just very much in progress at the time that it made it into committee's hands. So just an explanation as to why the increase in reserves from 2.7, 2.8 to the 3.1 for 2024.
Thank you, Ms. Borbeau. Council, any questions? I can take us to item 10.2 of the agenda this evening, Proclamation, National Volunteer Week. Proclamation. Over 24 million Canadians generously give their time to their communities through formal or informal volunteering, and in all, close to 5 billion hours are contributed each year. Volunteers in Hinton mentor our children, engage with seniors, support those who feel isolated, share what they have, and inspire those around them. Volunteers beautify our green spaces, fill board and committee seats, and fundraise for our charities and nonprofits. Hinton's volunteers are you and I and our families, friends, colleagues, and neighbors. We work for nonprofits and groups providing sport training and competition, recreation, health and wellness, social services, arts and culture, and environmental stewardship. Many of us step up to help strangers as often as we help neighbors and societies. The collective result is Hinton is a desirable, supportive, and interesting place to live. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Nicholas Nixon, do hereby proclaim April 14 to 20, 2024, National Volunteer Week in Hinton. I urge my fellow citizens to recognize and appreciate volunteers in our community and formally invite you all to attend Hinton's annual volunteer recruitment fair on Wednesday, April 17th at 6 p.m. at the Performing Arts Theater, 821 Schweitzer Drive. And for those of you paying attention at home, the original document in our agenda stated 5 p.m. is the start time, but the start time is actually 6 p.m. That was printed in error. Thank you. Council, any interest in questions or action on the proclamation? Seeing nothing, we'll move to section 11 of the agenda, reporting. Council reports. Councillor Hawes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a few things on the to report this evening. I was able to attend the Fire Smart Neighborhood meeting. It was a little bit late. I had a BBOC meeting that same evening, but I guess I walked away with I felt a better impression. A really good job on the our fire department team to kick off and start talking about fire smarting our community. A question was asked about our surrounding area and fire breaks, and our chief walked us through the fire breaks that are already there. Maybe a little bit of looking at things on the west or east, somewhere in that direction. But one of the things that's come up tonight is the grants, and it is too bad that they're oversubscribed. But one of the things that our community can do actively is by being involved in fire smarting our community, puts us in a better place for those grants upcoming as well. So I really applaud the community members that did come out. I know there's another one coming up at the end of April, so I hope that we get some more people out there as well. But yeah, it was a great conversation, a lot of good suggestions, and a lot of I guess, involves community members that were there interested. They also want to talk about there's an anxiety fire and anxiety workshop coming up in a couple of weeks as well that will be also available. I think there's 2 opportunities, one during the day and one during the evening as well through FCSS. So I want to thank Mac and his team for that. On a plus side of that night, I want to thank Mac for the opportunity to drive our brand new fire truck. That was a lot of fun. Surprised the heck out of my family as I pulled into the driveway with it. But that was an awesome, yeah, thank you again for the chief to allow me to drive that. So it's an awesome machine. Want to mention too, attended the Battle of the Badges. I want to congratulate the fire department for its win at the Battle of the Badges. It was a really good game. It was pretty close too. I think it was only like, 8-6 or something. 6, something like that. Really great turnout. Ended up raising in the 50-50 over $900, $472 going to a member in the community, which then graciously donated that back to the food bank. The other part went to Hinton Search and Rescue. They run the 50-50. So it was a really good night, really great turnout. And I want to thank all the members that played and all the community that also attended. And Addie is a fantastic announcer. I'm so glad he showed up. I was the backup, so I was glad he did it. Also want to mention, so Ash had a meeting just recently. I'm not going to say too much, and let the cat out of the bag, but there are some really great acts that will be coming to our community in the upcoming year. So keep an eye open for that. They'll be a little bit later in the year and early in 2025, but it's really exciting. So, and then BBOC had a meeting last week as well. And on the agenda, the big part is the Wayfinder signs. We've been working hard, and administration been working hard at Wayfinder signs. The concern was as we had some tourists getting lost out in our Beaver Boardwalk trails. So we've got now where they're going to go with the help of a consult to a contractor and we got places where they're going to go. It's now just a question of naming, and we've narrowed it down to basically 3 loops, and they'll be color coded and they'll have different names, and the BBOC members are going out to the community and trying to get some ideas from the community members of what those names will be. And next meeting we'll be deciding on those names. Theoretically then mid-summer, maybe by end of summer for sure, those Wayfinder signs will be up, and they'll be able to find their way around the Beaver Boardwalk. And that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Haas. Councillor Chambers.
Thank you, Mayor. I had the privilege on the weekend of being the MC for the 20th Chamber of Commerce Gala. It was very well done. They had a different theme this year, bit of a different way of voting and narrowing down the applicants, but it was very well attended. Very nice to see some new ideas, new blood, new administration, and a lot of just really incredible new businesses that were winners. There was a lot of first-time attendees from the business community and new people, and it just had an absolutely incredible energy about the whole evening. And there was many people that said, they felt there was a bit of a revival in some of that business community. Yeah, lots of new faces and just a lot of really excited people. So it was a wonderful night to kind of commemorate some of our volunteer work, some of our longstanding pioneers and business community members, as well as the newcomers. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful evening. So as far as other boards and committees, there was nothing from last week. This week I do have a Community Futures Board meeting on Thursday, but that's all for me.
Thank you, Councillor Chambers. Councillor Race.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to start with the museum highlights, and I want to thank Councillor Hawes for helping the museum put these together. First one is talking about the collections. They have transferred the Peterson papers to the Cole Branch Archives and created an online launch series to advertise the online presence of the collection. The collections manager finished his contract, having fully numbered and organized the artifact collection. Next thing, events. During the Winter Magic Festival, the museum hosted two very successful events, a historically themed murder mystery, which was really well attended, very successful, and a axe throwing afternoon. The exhibits, they have hung two new exhibits, one on the history of Rob and one on local medicinal plant species. So moving on, March 11th, I attended a summit meeting in Sundre, Alberta. The conversation centered on attraction, retention, and in addition, integration of healthcare professionals into communities. And the meeting started with a tour of their simulation lab, and I was so impressed. It was like walking into an emergency room, a trauma room. And that I said to them, well, what do you do in this simulation lab? And they go, anything that comes into a merge, we can teach here. We can teach here. So they have educators, you know, within the community, and they bring in educators. So it was just fabulous to see what they're doing there. Okay, and at this summit, there were people from Olds, Rimbey, Innisfail, Sundre, Red Deer, everybody contributing what they've done, what works well, what does not work well. They're kind of saying what the government is saying right now. Alone, you can go fast, but together you can go far. So let's work together and share what we have. Something else that was discussed at that meeting was, you know how we have the RAP program in the high school, eh? To initiate a nursing aid program within the high school. So that's a big conversation that's happening now. And we talked about that. And I don't want to give too much information today because I want to save a lot of it for the next attention and attraction committee meeting. On Friday, March 12th, I attended the FCSS spring session in Marlborough. Had probably 20 people there from different municipalities. We had a presentation from the RCMP. Our MLA Martin Long was there, and I had an opportunity to ask him to explain what he, as parliamentary secretary to Minister LaGrange, what is his job? And it was wonderful to hear what his job is and what he does. So we're kind of blessed to have that parliamentary secretary as our MLA. Sundre cannot say enough good about that man. Just, and I had to keep saying to them, he's ours. You know, Minister Nixon is yours. So, and what else do I have to say? On Thursday coming up, I have my Hinton Youth Council meeting, which I'm looking forward to. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Race. Councillor Taylor.
Thank you to CN Rail for fixing the Drennan Road crossing. I've heard some good comments on that. It's one of those things when you drive over it now, you don't notice it, which is kind of nice. As opposed to having your car fall apart when you drive over. I attended the Chamber Gala and the event was sold out. I attended the first part as a just regular participant and the second part as a volunteer. So I thought the event was well organized and everybody had a good time. And this week I attend a Waste Authority meeting. Thank you.
Councillor Race.
Sorry, I do have one more thing to say. I just want to say to Fire Chief, I never did get to drive my truck. I just have to say that, okay?
That doesn't require a response there, Chief. Councillor Haas.
Yeah, thank you. To Councillor Taylor with the meeting that's coming up for the Land Waste Authority. I'm just curious, is there any plans to fix the roads out there? I've been out there a couple of times and man, there's some potholes, especially around the going out up the scale. But there are some major potholes and things. The roads are they need fixing. So I'm just curious if that's ever come up at your meeting or if there's a possibility of bringing that up at the meeting, because yeah, it's my trailer sure bounces even going slowly through there. So
Counselor Taylor.
Thanks for that issue. I'll be sure to bring it up. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Taylor. And for myself, last week I was at the EDA conference in Kananaskis, and it was an interesting, informative experience. But the greatest takeaway that I got was I got to network with a number of other communities that have attraction and retention committees for physicians and healthcare workers, and I got some great tactical advice from communities that are really moving the needle forward on their attraction and retention. And I look forward to being able to bring those to our Hinton Attraction and Retention Committee. For reporting, CAO reporting, CO Panasic.
Thank you, Mayor. I have included the March operating highlights for council to review, and if there are any questions on that report, I'd be me or a member of our senior team would be happy to answer.
Thank you, CO Panasic. Counselor Haas.
yeah, thank you for the report. I do have a question. I've never seen it, and maybe it's something new, or maybe it has happened before, but I noticed under development infrastructure, we have a RAP student that's now working, and I'm assuming that's through the high school. But I'm curious on what position this RAP student is doing, because I'm a big fan of the course. My own child has gone through RAP, and I think it's a valuable part of our community, and sometimes it's hard to find placements for RAP. So I'm happy to see that, but I'm curious, what position are they holding?
CO Panasic.
Through the mayor to all of council, yes, we had the RAP students start with us. He's working in our facility maintenance with electricians.
That's excellent. If I may.
Please go ahead.
You know, I really appreciate that, because like I said, the more places that accept RAP students, and I'm really happy that the town is doing that. And I don't know if is this something new that to our town to have RAP students, or has this been an ongoing thing?
Through the mayor to all of council, it's certainly revived. I'm not sure if we did it, previous, but we didn't do it last year. So
Right.
It's certainly new to me and fairly new. The other thing that I'll take this time to give a plug out to one of our employees. The person he's mentoring under actually came to us and was actually an instructor and electrician from NATE. So the person he's working with couldn't have a better background.
It's excellent. And I don't know if there's other opportunities in our for trades, but I mean, one of our strategic plan is to keep our young people in our communities, and this is a fantastic way to do that and get them started. And so I'm hoping that there's other opportunities in our organization to welcome maybe some of those RAP students. So I applaud that. So thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Haas. Thank you, Mr. McLaughlin. Council, is there anything further for reporting this evening? Seeing nothing, we'll move to section 12 of the agenda. Council? Counselor Chambers.
I'd like to move that we adjourn this meeting.
Thank you, Counselor Chambers. Council, the motion on the floor is to adjourn the meeting. Any discussion? Nope, no discussion. We're just waiting for it to come up on the little screen here. There we go. Council, the motion on the floor is that council adjourn the meeting at 5:31 p.m. Councilors, please vote now. And that motion is carried unanimously. We are adjourned at 5:31. Thank you, everybody, for your great work today. That is an abrupt change to the weather from when I came in earlier.
Yeah.